Dricus Du Plessis' coach Morne Visser did an interview with Submissive Radio last week during the chaos that was Dricus Du Plessis injured. No, he's not. He's not fighting Khamzat Chimaev. He is fighting Khamzat Chimaev. And in this interview, he trashed Khamzat Chimaev with delusional false narratives that we're going to break down. We're going to check out a bunch of different clips from the interview. He gives an update on Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. He basically snitches on himself for lying about Dricus Du Plessis' injury. We're going to break that down. I don't feel like anyone's really talking about that. And on top of that, he had the audacity to claim that Khamzat Chimaev does not deserve a title shot. And it was really a bad look. It was a horrible look, acting like Khamzat Chimaev doesn't deserve a title shot. We're going to break it all down in this video. If you guys enjoy these videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, turn on notifications. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's jump right into it. I got a little surprise for you to start off the video. And that is that Dricus Du Plessis' coach absolutely takes a dump on Alex Pereira. But in this case, he's actually speaking facts. And I figured, you know what? I siphoned through this entire interview, which I'll link down in the description if you care to go check it out. Let me use these two clips of him trashing Alex Pereira. Now, to kind of give you a little bit of context, they were talking about a future Du Plessis-Pereira fight when Pereira was still champion, and that's what led to this clip. Listen.
Exciting fights. Pereira would have been very exciting for us. I don't think he's going to make a comeback. His loss was, he looked very shitty. It was horrible. I don't think after that loss he's going to make a comeback. I think he's going to maybe move to boxing or something easier.
I wanted to highlight this because this is facts, man. This is facts. He's probably going to run away from Ankalaev in the rematch. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I just wanted to highlight that. And then this is where he really starts to try. I mean, this was bad, boys. He really trashed Pereira. I mean, this is a little bit crazy out of pocket for a coach. But listen to this.
Dricus being an all-round fighter. And we've proved it time and again. We've finished guys on the floor. We've finished guys stand up.
Let's listen to that one more time. Let's listen to that. So Dricus Du Plessis definitely kisses his coach on the lips. Let's hear what also he does according to his coach.
Dricus being an all-round fighter. And we've proved it time and again. We've finished guys on the floor. We've finished guys stand up.
Dricus Du Plessis, you heard it from his coach, can finish guys on the floor. He can also finish them standing up. That's good to know. Strickland would have loved to know that. Okay. So Dricus finishing a bunch of guys. He's proved that time and time again.
In Dricus' career, and Pereira has never done that. So I think it was a bit of a and look how bad he looked in his last fight. I mean, it didn't go his way. Ankalaev just outplayed him. I speak to a lot of people. They say it was a boring fight. I say it was a brilliant fight.
I wanted to highlight that because this is facts right here. It was a brilliant performance from Ankalaev.
The game plan of Ankalaev and his team were just absolutely superb, and the way they handled it and stick to the game plan, never rush anything. And that's the only thing that Pereira does. He waits for you to make a mistake, or he waits for you to get in or come in, and then he hooks you. What else can he do? And that stupid low of his, what else can he do?
A left hook and a low kick. That's all he has.
He's shit in the clinch. He's shit on the floor. He's shit in grappling. And we saw him getting out. Ankalaev did a pretty good job of outboxing him, out-kickboxing him. So, well done to Ankalaev. The hate comes from jealousy.
So there you go. I don't want to spend too much time on it because that's not the full topic of the video. But what he said was facts there. I mean, it's a little bit crazy for a coach to be talking that way. But he's shit in the clinch. He's shit on the floor. He's shit in the grappling. And he got outstruck by Magomed Ankalaev. Couldn't have said it better myself, all right? Okay, that just goes to show I'm not biased against this guy. I actually like this guy. I like DDP's coach. I think he's funny. I think he's smart. But he does say a few delusional things in this interview. I mean, it really started getting crazy. It started getting crazy at one point. But that's not what we're going to check out next. The next thing I want to check out is basically him lying, okay? He catches himself. He lied. So earlier in this interview, which I'm going to show you in a second. You know what? Matter of fact, I'll show you that first. Let me show you this first. So this is him in the beginning of the interview talking about Du Plessis being injured or not being injured. Listen to this. And there's a reason I'm showing you this.
So the fight was never confirmed. We were talking about it, and no injuries, man. That's bullshit. We're fighting Khamzat. We're actually waiting for the contract. So it's going to be soon.
So no injuries. We're fighting him soon. No injuries. That's bullshit, right? There was talks at 317, but there's no injuries. I'm going to give you my theory. If you've been watching any of the live streams, you already know my theory. But then I want you to listen to this clip later on in the interview where he basically says Dricus Du Plessis was asked to go at UFC 317, but couldn't. And he catches himself because he's very smart. You realize, oh, I messed up here. Let me address this. Then this could be completely wrong. This is just my analysis, but listen to this. Well, I'll show you what I mean in a second.
From the UFC within the next 2 weeks, will be most probably be announced in the next 2 weeks. We're not sure about dates or location, but as soon as maybe August, just around the corner. We were supposed to fight him in June. That was the talks.
Look, he catches himself. That was the talks. We were supposed to fight him in June. Okay? But he didn't fight him in June. Why didn't he? No injuries. That's bullshit. I'm going to show you guys that one more time. Because a lot of people don't catch this type of stuff. And then I'm like pointing it out. And I'm like, look, nobody saw this. Listen to this one more time.
Just around the corner. We were supposed to fight him in June.
We were supposed to fight him in June. And then he goes on to catch himself. He immediately realizes that was the talks. The talks of who? The UFC and you guys. But you couldn't go because you were injured. But let's continue.
It was the talks. So July, August, 8 weeks later, maybe September. We'd like to fight him in the UAE. I think he's got a massive fan base there, and it will be nice to really slam him and slap him on the floor.
Like the attitude, but I don't think that's delusional as well. That's not going to happen. But did you guys catch all that? Well, 8 weeks, he starts to say July, but then he's like, no, maybe August, September. If we got to wait till October for this fight, guys, 6 months. Why can't we have anything? But I just wanted to point that out because my theory is, gun to my head, and I believe this is right. I think I live. Dricus Du Plessis was asked to headline UFC 317. He has a small injury that's not going to keep him out long term. He turned down the 317 opportunity, and now he's willing to fight in August or September. They don't want, and there's a reason I'm highlighting this, okay? I'm putting this all together cohesively for you guys. They don't want the narrative that Du Plessis doesn't take fights. I'm not even here to criticize Du Plessis for not taking fights, but you look back, he refused to take the fight against Adesanya for the title at UFC 293. I'm not blaming him. Short turnaround. He was a little bit banged up. He turned down that opportunity. He didn't want to fight Adesanya at UFC 300 because he was banged up or had some type of lingering injuries. It happens, okay? And now he does not want to fight Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 317 because he has a minor injury that's going to keep him out for another month or two. 8 weeks. There's a reason DDP's coach is like, maybe 8 weeks, so maybe August, September. It's because he has an injury. It's probably not a broken leg like Caio Borralho said, but they are covering up this injury. I'm telling you, gun to my head. I know it. And I don't blame him for trying to hide it, but I just want to point out that he did slip up. And the reason I want to highlight it is because some of the shit he says about Khamzat Chimaev, it just makes it even more delusional and ironic because he's crapping on Chimaev with false narratives about what a pullout merchant he is and how he doesn't fight. And I just think it's awfully rich considering, Du Plessis just turns down every other fight because he's injured, okay? All right? And again, I'm not criticizing Du Plessis. I'm just saying it looks really hypocritical. Next clip we're going to check out. This isn't really horrible, but I kind of wanted to include this because, again, it's just kind of, the way he's saying, we're going to smash Chimaev on the ground is kind of delusional. And the way he talks about how, we wanted to fight Adesanya on the feet and we beat him on the feet, which they did fight a decent portion of it on the feet, but they did mix in the grappling. I just wanted to highlight this. This isn't the worst of the interview by any means. We're about to get to the most delusional parts of the interview after this clip.
You've seen us beating Sean on the feet, because that's where he is very good at, and we wanted to fight him on the feet. Especially after the first fight, it was very controversial. And then we did the same with Easy. We wanted to fight him on the feet. Unfortunately, Dricus caught him, went to the ground, went to a submission. But then we went back to Strickland and we kept it on the feet. Khamzat's a wrestler. We want to fight him on the floor. So that's the only way to prove that you're a real champion.
So I do respect that. They want to fight him on the floor. I think that is a complete and utter lie. And also, we didn't acting like they didn't mix in the grappling against Izzy. He literally won by submission. Literally won by submission. By the way, I don't know if I said it or not, and I kind of stepped on it a little bit. They said they want to fight Khamzat in the UAE, which I actually really like as well. And I like that he's calling for it, because if it does get announced for October in the UAE, there's going to be a lot of crying from fans. Why does Khamzat get special privilege? DDP says he wants to take him there and beat him, which I absolutely love. I love the mindset from him and his coach. Let me go beat him in Abu Dhabi. Let me go beat him in front of his fans. I love that attitude. But anyway, he's going to beat Khamzat on the floor. That starts the delusion, okay? Then it gets really bad, okay? And actually, I'm going out of order, so really that was after this utter delusion here. He starts playing revisionist history with Khamzat Chimaev's entire career, and he pushes the Khamzat Chimaev pull-out narrative, which you guys aren't going to believe this, and maybe this is a bold claim, and people are going to say I'm completely and utterly wrong. Dricus Du Plessis has pulled out of more UFC fights than Khamzat Chimaev, okay? Don't kill the messenger. We'll get to that in a second. Listen to this.
He responded, and he did a screenshot of all of the times that Khamzat pulled out of his fights as a response to the tweet.
Yeah, it's actually ridiculous how many times he pulled out. And then if you look at just his last 6 fights, or his last 6 supposed fights, he pulled out of 3 of them. Then he fought Holland, where he was overweight. He fought Kumaro.
All right, let's just stop right there. So the pull-out narrative, man, in his last 6 fights, he's pulled out of so many fights, this and that. The revisionist history with Khamzat Chimaev's career is absolutely insane. And I am here to tell you right now, and I'm going to explain to you with context why I believe this. Khamzat Chimaev has pulled out of 1 fight in his entire career. 1 fight in his entire career. 2, if you really want to get picky. 2, if you really want to get picky. Let's look at Khamzat's career, because I'm so tired of hearing this. I'm really so tired of hearing this. First off, okay, Robert Whittaker, June of 2024. He got sick. He was hospitalized. He had to pull out of the Robert Whittaker fight. I would argue that's the only pull out in his entire career. You have the Paulo Costa fight. For some reason, Khamzat gets criticized because Paulo Costa pulled out. I don't get it. Makes absolutely no sense. And then he had to fight Kamaru Usman on short notice, who is a better fighter than Paulo Costa, and he gets criticized for taking an entirely different stylistic matchup on short notice and still winning pretty clearly, in my opinion. But somehow, he gets criticized for Paulo Costa pulling out. Okay? So, you have the Nate Diaz debacle. Okay, if you want to include that, okay, whatever. I don't include that. He still ended up fighting Kevin Holland. He was still cutting weight. They didn't want Khamzat off the card, so they didn't want him risking cutting weight to get down to the Nate Diaz fight, okay? But if you want to criticize him for the weight miss, sure, criticize him for the weight miss. But let's get to the real heart of the issue. These Leon Edwards fights right here. This is where Khamzat pulls out of all his fights. Khamzat pulls out of every fight. The revisionist history that the fans run with and the media just allows and runs with as well. Even Dennis from Submissive Radio was running with, man, all these fights he's pulled out, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, man. He pulled out against Robert Whittaker. Pulled out against Robert Whittaker. Because Leon Edwards, December 2020, for some reason this is attributed to Chimaev. Leon Edwards tested positive for COVID-19. Oh, there was only a worldwide pandemic at the time. So Leon Edwards pulls out of the fight. But what people fail to mention is they both had it. They both had it. They both had COVID. They both could not fight, okay? So for some reason, that means Chimaev automatically pulled out, even though Edwards was the first person that pulled out. Now, the UFC just said, let's kick the can down the road. They immediately announced, right away. Let's book it for January, a couple weeks later. Let's book it for a month later. And that's when Chimaev, because he's dealing with issues from being sick, can't still go, okay? This should not count. This should not count as a pullout. I don't get it. The UFC, when they rebooked Raul Rosas Jr. a week later, and he said, no, I'm still sick, I can't fight. How does that count as a pullout? Okay? And the first one, again, Edwards was sick too, so how can you even attribute that one to him? Then they said, oh, let's kick the can down the road even more. Let's kick it down the road another month and a half or 2 months. And he's still dealing with the same thing during a worldwide pandemic. And Leon Edwards pulled out of the first fight. I just don't get it. So if you want to say, okay, one pullout for the Leon Edwards fight, because it's just the UFC saying, okay, we'll just see if he can go next week. We'll see if he can go next month, when he's dealing with issues from lingering from being sick, and the UFC's just kicking the can slightly down the road. It'd be like if Du Plessis broke his leg and they were like, oh, well, he'll fight next month because he's dealing with this illness that was apparently very severe for him. So I don't count any of these as pullouts. You guys can say what you will. I don't count any of them as pullouts. Let's take a look at Dricus Du Plessis' UFC career. Okay? Obviously, he's been more active. Obviously, he's fought more. But let's take a look at his pullouts. Imagine if we attributed every canceled fight to Du Plessis. Imagine if we attributed everyone. Oh, man, he pulled out against Kevin Gastelum. Nope, he didn't pull out. Gastelum was injured. He pulled out against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Oh, no, the UFC just decided to rebook it somewhere else. Oh, he pulled out against Chris Curtis. No, Chris Curtis pulled out. Oh, he pulled out against Andre Muniz. Oh, he actually pulled out against Andre Muniz. He was injured against Andre Muniz, and he was also injured against Trevin Giles as well. So Du Plessis pulled out of 2 fights. If you want to get picky, you can attribute one of these Leon Edwards fights as a pullout, and you can attribute the Robert Whittaker fight as a pullout. I understand he hasn't been super active, but there's been other factors like visa issues potentially, UFC telling him to wait for title shots. He's waiting for them, so he doesn't have the activity. Khamzat Chimaev built his name on activity, okay? So the whole narrative from the fans and Dricus Du Plessis' coach that he's some type of crazy pullout merchant is completely false, and a lot of people don't know. They're just like, oh, yeah, okay, he pulled out all these fights. No, he pulled out of literally the Khamzat Chimaev fight. He literally pulled out of the Robert Whittaker fight. That's pretty much it, okay? And if you really want to get technical, so in the last 4 years, okay, let's play a game here. In the last 4 years, he's pulled out of 1 fight. Even if you want to attribute every other potential hypothetical pullout to Khamzat, in the last 4 years, he's pulled out of 1 fight. And somehow we're acting like he's some crazy pullout merchant. But it gets way worse. It gets way worse because he starts playing revisionist history with Khamzat's entire career. Listen to this.
On a 10 days notice, and I think Kamaru gave him a proper run for his money. 10 days notice. I don't know why Kamaru never asked for a rematch there. And then,
why should Kamaru get a rematch there? That was a fight thrown together last minute because Paulo Costa pulled out. Khamzat was supposed to take on Paulo Costa. Instead, he fought one of the goats of the sport, arguably still in their prime, and 10-8'd him in the first round. I think still won. You could give him the second and third. I think you could still give him. Okay, but still won the fight regardless. He took a totally different stylistic matchup on short notice. And he was injured in the first round. But somehow Kamaru deserves a rematch. Khamzat deserves no credit for beating a tougher matchup. That's another narrative. I just can't stand it, man. When Kamaru stepped in, everyone's like, this is a better fight, man. This is a tougher fight for Chimaev. Then he ragdolls Usman. It's like, man, he doesn't get any credit. He gasses out. He won the 3rd round. He won the 3rd round, in my opinion. He won the 3rd round against Gilbert Burns as well. The myth about Chimaev's cardio is insane. But let's continue because it gets worse.
his one over Robert was also kind of ridiculous because Robert went in that fight with broken teeth, which Dricus did. Dricus broke his jaw and his teeth, and then...
yeah, Dricus broke his jaw and his teeth. Robert Whittaker was dealing with that for a long time and had fought with it plenty of times without that happening. And now, even if you want to say exactly the way he represented it right here is true, the coach did, you're taking credit for another man's win. You know, but we softened him up for you. We softened him up for you, man. He's literally taking credit. Look what Khamzat Chimaev went out there and did to Whittaker. He victimized him. He had him frantically tapping. He mauled him badly in the first few minutes of the fight. Du Plessis was getting taken down by Whittaker in those same few minutes. Now, ultimately, Du Plessis went out there and beat him, but Stop taking credit for another man's win. Imagine if Adesanya was like, yeah, Du Plessis beat Whitaker, but I softened him up by KOing him years ago. I mean, it's just embarrassing. And it gets worse. It literally gets worse. He claims Khamzat doesn't deserve a title shot.
So what has he done? I don't even think he deserves a title shot. So he shouldn't say anything. He should just rock up, get his hiding, so we can get this over and done with.
Is a part of you worried that he might pull out of this fight or not make it to this fight once it gets signed?
Yeah, he's pulled out of one fight ever, but all of a sudden he's going to pull out of every fight ever. It's crazy. And it gets, believe me, it gets worse. He starts telling some weird story about how he met Chimaev years ago and took a picture with him. And I mean, it's just very bizarre and delusional.
Yeah, definitely. That's his thing. His thing is pulling out. He likes to be a movie star, man. Look at his career. I think he fought 3 times in the last 3 years. Dricus has fought 3 times in the last just.
The pull-out narrative. Look, like, I get the activity. You can criticize the activity here. It's just insane that he's acting like he's pulled out of so many fights. Oh my God, he's pulled out of so many fights. He's pulled out of one fight in the last 4 years. That's a fact. That is an undeniable fact. Let's jump ahead a little bit. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because there's more delusional, but there's some dead space here. If you notice it's been freezing a little bit, that's on his end. That's nothing to do with this particular video. But let's carry on. Let's listen to a little bit more.
He brought it home five rounds. He won all 5 rounds. So yeah, we want to fight Khamzat on the floor. That's the plan.
You know what else is interesting? Go on, sorry, Morne.
He's what has he done? I mean, look at he fought Burns, who's a real, actually Gilbert. If Gilbert puts an effort in, he's actually a lightweight.
So now Gilbert's a lightweight. Gilbert Burns is a lightweight. Doesn't mean anything. He does. I mean, this is craziness. Gilbert's a lightweight now. Khamzat doesn't deserve a title shot, which we're going to get to and break down a little bit more in a second.
Then Kamaru really gave him a proper run for his money with no preparation.
Okay, Brad Tavares gave Dricus Du Plessis a run for his money. Derek Brunson gave Dricus Du Plessis a run for his money. Neither one of those are even elite fighters. So what's that mean? That's a non-statement.
On the wrestling side, so that's where we want to fight him. I believe he's training with bigger guys now to get strength. It's not going to help him. He needs to fight. It's not a grappling or wrestling. He needs to fight. That's what we want to do. We want to fight him on the floor and break him up in pieces on the floor.
Okay, so that, I mean, completely delusional. But let's address the narrative about the title shot because I'm so tired. Not really many people are saying after the Whitaker win, but saying he doesn't deserve a title shot. Khamzat somehow ended up being one of the most disrespected fighters with false narratives. Let's go back in time. He beat Gilbert Burns. He was promised a welterweight title shot with this win right here. He took a fight against Nate Diaz to stay active, and he ultimately ended up fighting Kevin Holland and then moving up. Costa pulled out. He beat Kamaru Usman. He was promised a title shot there as well because he had already earned it at welterweight. He was going to get a win at middleweight, and then he was going to get a title shot. He beats Kamaru Usman. He doesn't get it there. He beats Robert Whitaker. He's promised it again, and Sean Strickland gets it. And also, Gilbert Burns is a lightweight. You see how easy you can pick apart someone's resume? Sean Strickland's a welterweight. Israel Adesanya was washed up. Strickland washed him up as he was too busy getting drunk and being injured. So Strickland, a welterweight. Israel Adesanya is washed up. Robert Whitaker was washed up at the time as well. Derek Brunson, complete scrub that gave him a run for his money. Darren Till, complete bum that gave him a run for his money. Brad Tavares, on the tail end of his career, gave him a run for his money. You see how easily you can pick apart someone's resume? You can do it very easily. Beat Sean Strickland. I mean, being dead serious, I think Dricus is a great fighter. He's proven people wrong time and time again. You can literally shit on this resume. Strickland, I don't think that's good. I don't think is that good. He got hyped up off of beating Israel Adesanya, who was injured and getting drunk every night in the lead up to that fight. And somehow that elevates Strickland's entire career. And that's 2 of DDP's best wins. So when you play that game of, Gilbert's only a lightweight and Kamaru Usman gave him a run for his money, you can do the same thing with Dricus' career. It's annoying and it's delusional. Let's listen to a little bit more because he goes to tell this dumb story about how he took a picture with Khamzat, and it's very bizarre.
This is one of those annoying guys. I mean, I've never had an issue with Easy or any one of the fighters. This guy's just annoying. And I've
What has Khamzat done that's annoying? I would love to know. He doesn't say.
actually got a photo with myself and him many years ago. Dricus was supposed to fight in Jacksonville, and the fight got cancelled.
Let's take a look. What fight was that? Supposed to fight in Jacksonville. The fight got I would assume maybe it's this one right here. Or maybe it's this one. I don't know. Supposed to fight in Jacksonville. The fight got canceled. Okay. I don't know which fight that was, but let's continue.
Anyway, I met Khamzat there, and I took a photo with him, and I mentioned somewhere that don't disappear because my welterweight, which wasn't Dricus, is going to finish you soon. And then he disappeared a little bit, and then we carried on with being middleweight. Dricus focus on the championship. So, but I've had my eyes on him for a long time, and Dricus is going to finish him on the floor, and he doesn't believe it. He doesn't think it. That's where we want to fight him, on the floor.
I mean, that's just a very bizarre story. I took a picture with him, and I've had my eyes on him for a long time, and I took a picture with him as a fanboy and posted, "Don't hide, my welterweight's going to finish you." Listen, I think it's crazy that they think Dricus is going to absolutely beat him up and dominate him on the floor. I guess they're hoping that Khamzat gasses. But that's not even the main point. The revisionist history with the pullouts, the revisionist history with the Usman fight, the revisionist history with the Burns fight is completely delusional. And to say he doesn't deserve a title shot is ridiculous and quite frankly embarrassing because it makes him look like he's ducking. So I broke it all down. That's pretty much all. I will link the full interview down in the description. But also you called him lying about that injury. We know Dricus, minor injury, could not fight at UFC 317. Mark that down along with UFC 293 and UFC 300. Even though I'm not criticizing him for it. Definitely wouldn't conjure up a fake narrative about how DDP's a pull-out merchant. Okay? And not just when he's finishing guys on the ground in the stand-up. Okay? So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.